Number one, houses, rooms, or other premises shall not be searched except in the presence of the lawful occupant. Dapat andun yung lawful occupant, kung sino yung may-ari ng bahay, okay, or any member ng kanyang pamilya, or in the absence of the latter, the presence of two witnesses of sufficient age and discretion residing in the same locality. So, normally, given na to, say for example, what if apartment, what if boarding house, tapos yung specific room lang. So, normally, you have to coordinate with the landlord. And ang common naman na practice kasi ng mga officers natin is they try to coordinate with the barangays if needed be. So they try to produce two witnesses, normally barangay officials. So if they think na possible or if they think na hindi cooperative yung may-ari ng bahay, building, or ano man yan. So, they normally coordinate with the barangay. Tapos, ito take note, lawful personal properties, papers, and other valuables not specifically indicated or particularly described in the search warrant shall not be taken. Take note sabi kanina ni sir, take note of the word lawful. Pag unlawful, pwede yan. Pero pag lawful, hindi pwede. So, pinagbabawal yan na. So, we now come to the inventory and delivery of property seized. Ano nga ba yung proseso ng paghandak ng inventory? So, the police officer who confiscates property is normally, after niyang mag-conduct ng inventory, is mag-i-issue siya ng receipt of property seized. Okay? Susulat niya lahat ng mga nakuha na or na-confiscate na mga illegal properties or whatever it is that has been confiscated. And then, he shall now issue a detailed receipt of property doon sa lawful occupant ng premises, or kapag wala yung lawful occupant, wala yung may-ari, doon sa dalawang witnesses naman. Tapos, kasama na doon sa resibo yung mga nakuha under plain view doctrine. That's why andyan yung word na detailed receipt, detalyado. Okay? So, pati yung mga nakuha under sa plain view doctrine is dapat nakasama doon sa receipt. Then, aside from giving or aside from the provision of the copy of the receipt to the lawful occupant or to the doon sa owner ng bahay, building, apartment, or whatever it is, a duplicate copy must also be provided with any barangay official having jurisdiction over the place search. Take note any barangay official, not necessarily na sa kapitan. And then, the police officer must forthwith deliver the property seized to the judge who issued the warrant together with an inventory thereof duly verified under oath. So what happens, or rather, what will happen doon sa mga nakuha that are illegal? Diba? Hindi sila subject ng search warrant pero na-confiscate considering that they are illegal by nature. So what will happen? So hindi na pwedeng ibalik yan Hindi na pwedeng ibalik yan doon sa sa owner kasi nga illegal yan. So normally i-dispose yan. Okay? So sabi dito, disposition of illegally seized property. The illegality of the search warrant does not call for the return of the things seized, the possession of which is prohibited by law. Ito yung established na doktrina natin in this particular jurisdiction. Hence, it was ruled that the defendant is not entitled for the return. Say for example, yung opium at saka paraphernalia which were found and seized under a defective warrant. Or say for example, paltik, ammunitions at saka hand grenade na nakuha sa kanya. Or those things or effects which constitutes the corpus delicti of a crime committed by him. Or simply speaking, kailangan i-dispose, hindi na pwedeng ibalik doon sa subject ng search, hindi na pwede ibalik doon sa kanya considering nga illegal per se yung gamit na yan. Okay? So, do you have any questions or clarifications so far?
Wala, sir.
Right. Shall we
No,
proceed now with the valid search and seizures without search warrant?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's go first with the first form of valid, legal, valid search and seizure. Pero wala tong search warrant, walang search warrant. Yung panguna is yung mga, say for example, arrest, may nadakip tayo na tao, may na-arrest na tayong tao, then normally, as a precautionary measure, so we have to conduct pat-down search. Tama? We have to conduct pat-down search of the person whom we have arrested. Kasi number one, baka mamaya, di ba, meron pang, say for example, particularly kung sa drug cases, baka mamaya nasa pocket niya is meron siyang meron siyang drug paraphernalia or nandun yung drugs or any possible evidences na pwedeng magamit against sa kanya in connection with that particular offense. And you have to take note na yung search made incidental to a valid arrest is not only exclusive to the person. You may also search yung immediate vicinity. Okay, immediate surrounding where the arrest was conducted. Kasi baka mamaya, mayroon siyang naitapon na possible na evidence na pwede magamit sa kanya. Can you follow? So, that is what we mean by the search made incidental to a valid arrest. So, ano naman yung what is the reason? Ano yung jurisdiction? Ano yung logic behind that? In People versus Ang Chongkit, okay, the Supreme Court reiterates the doctrine that warrantless search and seizure as an incident to a suspect's lawful arrest may extend beyond the person of the one arrested to include the premises or surrounding under his immediate control. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. So, but were the accused were lawfully arrested in room 504 of a hotel and a warrantless search was conducted in room 413, in this particular scenario, so normally, the search is already considered illegal and the evidence obtained cannot be admitted against the accused for the reason that 413 is not within the immediate control of the person. That's why, as I have mentioned earlier, diba, under or within the immediate vicinity or place ng suspect. In this particular scenario, masyadong malayo yung 504 doon sa 413. Sir, why is it na no need na or valid siya? Valid yung search. Why is it? Why do you think so? Na valid yung search incidental to a valid arrest. So that is for the, or rather, the reason behind is yung sinabi ko kanina. Di ba? So, to locate or to search or to seize things or contrabands or other illegal things na pwedeng magamit against sa kanya. So, it is not a violation kasi in the first place, valid yung arrest. But if invalid yung arrest, then normally, following the concept of exclusionary rule, okay, exclusionary rule, and the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, following the concept, is normally yung evidence, whatever evidence na makukuha, will be rendered null and void. Right? So, punta tayo sa pangalawang form, yung search of moving vehicles. So, normally, since the vehicle yung pinag-uusapan natin dito, mobile siya. Moving siya, capable of moving from one place to another. So you have to consider the circumstances, like mag-a-apply pa siya for search warrant. You have to consider the fact na mobile, moving, di ba? That's why ina-allow yung search of moving vehicles. So sabi dito search and seizure without search warrant of vessels and aircrafts for violation of the custom laws have been the traditional exceptions doon sa constitutional requirement natin sa search warrant. Why? Because the vessel can be quickly moved out of the locality or jurisdiction in which the search warrant must be sought before such warrant can be secured. So therefore, hindi practicable to require a search warrant before such search or seizure. Diba? So that's the reason behind that. Then, the seizure of evidence in plain view. Plain view is, take note ang word na ginamit is seizure. The reason being kung bakit seizure yung ginamit, walang search na nangyayari. Take note, plain view, walang search na nangyayari. So kumbaga, walang effort, walang active effort on the part of the officer. Right? Walang active effort on the part of the officer to look or to search. So even though the officer will not search, is yun na nga, plain view, under siya sa plain view, nakikita siya, plain sight, right? Excuse. So yun. So, any object in the plain view is subject to seizure and may be introduced as evidence. So, do you have any question or, clarification regarding these three? Para mas ma-articulate pa natin ng mas mabuti yung tatlong konsepto na ito. Miss Gabuya.
Yes, sir.
All right. Checkpoint. Right, checkpoint. Tapos, nakamotor ka. Pina-open sa'yo yung U-box mo. Would you open your U-box?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Kay, basig na sila nakita sa ako, sir, nga dili mao, sir, ba?
You will open
basig
your
sa-
U-box?
Dili basig sa kanang example, sir, pag kanang, di ba nakaingon nga seizure of evidence in plain view. Ay, sa plain view, kaysa nakita naman din nila, di naman din i-search. ay like nag-move man ko sir niya basig na sila yung like example sa basig sa ayubak na ako kay nainilipit nga gamay nga drug sir niya nakita nila sir so ila kong gipahunong inana sir ba.
Ne, the question is, you are driving a motorcycle,
Ah,
right? Nagdrive ka og motor niya na ay checkpoint. Katong duol ka na sa checkpoint or when it was your turn na mag-checkpoint na, the police officer requested that you open your U-box. Would you open it? Would you open your U-box?
yes sir kay checkpoint man siya sir so do you have the right sir nga mo ko answer.
What, ano ba yung grounds nila? Ba't sila, di ba? On what grounds sila magpa-open ng U-box natin?
Ang yubak sir ay sa motor ba na sir o sa sakyanan?
U-box?
Motor.
Ay motor?
Yes.
Dili sir. If sa sakyanan siguro, ana guro kay if some example if naay ka nang na kidnap, i-open nimo ang car pero if sa kuan sa motor mo dili sir. Di lang ko sure sir kay anang di mo ko kabot sa mga kuan sir.
Any other opinion?
Feel na ko, sir, na ko, sir.
Sige, para nga ya.
Sir. Ay, para na ko, sir, is kanang dili, sir, is kay the word sa checkpoint is ang ilarang tanawon na is dahil lisensya ra, dili sila allowed na manugo na i-open ang imuhang U-box or ipa-open ang luyo sa sakyanan.
Why?
Kay kuan naman, sir, checkpoint naman sila, sir. Therefore, ang lisensya ra o ang pangitaon nila sa sakyanan or lisensya sa tagiya.
Very good. Checkpoint lang siya. So therefore, hindi tayo pwede mag-open or we cannot be compelled to open our U-box. Why? Because that would be considered as an unreasonable search. Why will it be considered unreasonable search? Number one, wala silang search warrant. Sir, why do they need to secure a search warrant? Sabi mo kanina, yung search of moving vehicles. Right? So, actually, they cannot conduct it or they cannot compel you to open your U-box because you have to take note na yung sasakyan ninyo, yung auto, yung ano man ninyo, that is an extension ng bahay ninyo. So, if there is no search warrant, then they cannot just search without a probable cause. Wala silang immediate reason, wala silang sufficient reason, sufficient ground. If checkpoint lang, tapos andun ka, magpakita ka ng lisensya mo, magpakita ka ng ano mo, that is already sufficient enough. There's really no need to open your U-box. So, how would we differentiate it from the search of moving vehicles? What is being offered by this particular concept only is that in cases wherein mayroong sufficient ground, sufficient reason, yung officer, okay, yung officer to possible mayroong siyang nakita na ano, mayroon siyang nakita or mayroong kahinahinala, then pwede siyang mag-search without search warrant. Pero yung ibinigay ko kanina, since checkpoint lang siya, and then immediately i-require kayo na magpa-open ng U-box, then definitely that is a big no-no. Okay? So, in fact, even sa mga sasakyanan, during checkpoints, what is only being demanded from you is, aside from your license, aside from the registration, is open lang yung cabin lights and then roll down your windows lang. Yun lang yun. Diba? But in the event na meron silang nakita or di kaya pagbukas mo ng pinto, amoy marijuana, tapos pagtingin nila doon sa mata mo is mapupungay yung mata mo, diba? Mapulang-mapula yung mata mo. Nung tinanong ka ng pulis kung saan ka punta, ano yung sagot mo? To the moon,
sir.
di ba? So, di ba? That is already a sufficient reason. Di ba? These are sufficient reasons. So, they may now compel you. Pwede silang mag-search doon sa vehicle mo. Can you see the difference between doon sa mga scenarios na binigay ko?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Pero doon din papasok yung seizure of evidence in plain view. Diba? Like for example, ganon. Pag roll down ng windows, tapos pagtingin ng officer doon sa bag is, yun na nga, parang nakakaamoy siya ng small paint or small trace ng marijuana, and then sa tingin niya is may doon sa bag, merong naka-ukli na sa tingin niya is possible marijuana, considering na kumbaga doon sa amoy niya, tapos base doon sa demeanor, appearance ng is, tapos pagkita niya, yun, nakakita siya ng marijuana. Then that falls under the category of the seizure of evidence in plain view. So, really, there is no active effort on the part of the officer to search. Kumbaga, as in, plain view, plain sight, makikita yung illegal na gamit. Then, that could be subjected for seizure. However, we need to be mindful of the certain requirements that needs to be met under sa plain view doctrine. So ito na nga, ang sinasabi ko kanina. Number 1, dapat yung police must have a prior justification for an intrusion. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Ito yung binigay ko kanina na example. Pag roll down ng window, nag-amoy marijuana, tapos pagtingin niya doon sa mata ng driver is mapula. So based on their experience, is possible under the influence ng marijuana. So meron siyang prior justification para sa kanyang intrusion. Okay? And then the discovery of the evidence in plain view is unintentional, hindi sinasadya. And then it is immediately apparent to the police officer that the item he observes may be evidence of a crime, contraband, or is a valid subject of seizure. So ito yung mga tatlong requirements. Then, when there is a waiver of the right or there is consented search, pag magbigay ng consent yung subject doon sa search, then pwede kang mag-conduct ng search and seizure even without warrant. Then under stop and frisk rule, ito walang sasakyan dito ha. Dito sa under stop and frisk rule. Walang sasakyan dito. Ito dito magpo-fall yung scenario wherein possible, basta hindi involved yung dito, walang involved na sasakyan dito. Naglalakad ka lang or anything, and then bigla kang i-call yung attention mo, and then if-refresh ka, tapos kakap-kapan ka. Yeah. So normally, generally speaking, it should be illegal. But in order to validate or for it to be considered valid or legal, kumbaga the same thing. There must be a reasonable suspicion on the part of the police officer conducting this particular stop and frisk rule. Okay? So sabi dito, this stop and frisk theory is a limited protective search of outer clothing for a weapon. Now, it was held in the case of Terry versus Ohio, Malacat versus Court of Appeals, where a police officer observes unusual conduct which leads him reasonably to conclude in the light of experience that criminal activity may be afoot and that a person with whom he is dealing may be armed and presently dangerous. In the course of investigating his behavior, he identifies himself as a policeman and then makes reasonable inquiries, and he have secured nothing in the initial stage of the encounter serves to dispel his reasonable fear for his own or other safety. He is entitled for the protection of himself and others in the area to conduct a carefully limited search. So normally, under this theory, probable cause is not required to conduct a stop and freeze, but nevertheless, mere suspicion or a hunch will not validate a stop and freeze. So a genuine reason must exist in light of the police experience, and take note it must not be a mere hunch or suspicion. So the reason must exist in light of the police experiences in due consideration of the surrounding condition. And as a result, it will warrant the belief that the person detained has weapons concealed about him. So ito yung magbabalidate doon sa search under stop and freeze rule. Then, emergency and exigent circumstances. Exigent is yun, mga mahalaga na mga circumstances, mahalagang pangyayari. So, that needs immediate attention. So, this particular concept is best illustrated in the case of People versus De Gracia, wherein during that time, it was shown that there was prevailing general chaos and disorder because of an ongoing coup, and the raid of the office or building was precipitated by an intelligence report that said office was being used as headquarters by the RAM. Also, sabi na surveillance team before the raid was fired, was fired upon by a group of men coming from the said office. And the raiding team have no opportunity to apply and secure search warrant. Tapos, sarado pa yung court during that time. Therefore, yung urgency at saka yung exigency, yung pagiging importante of the moment for which a search warrant could lawfully be dispensed with. So this is the best illustration under this concept of emergency and exigent circumstances. Then for the tipped information, ito yung common na ginagamit ng mga ito yung common na ginagamit ng mga pulis natin doon sa pag-conduct ng entrapment operations, di ba? So normally, ganun yun. So normally, ganun yan. Tipped information. Then, pwede rin, say for example, the most common example of this para sa tipped information, like for example, nandun ka sa mayroong isang police, tapos under siya sa kanyang patrol activity. Tapos andun siya sa gilid ng kalsada. And then merong biktima ng snatching. And then nagbigay ng description yung biktima, tapos possible kilala mo kung sino yung dinidescribe ng victim, considering na base nga sa experience mo. So, yun. So, pwede kang mag-conduct ng search and seizure even without a search warrant by virtue of a tipped information. Okay? So, there are also three basic concepts under dito sa search warrant. Ito yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina. yung inevitable discovery exception, andyan yung exclusionary, andyan yung inevitable discovery exception, andyan din yung good faith exception. Ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng tatlong ito? So exclusionary rule, ang sabi dito is lahat ng illegally seized evidence, okay, lahat ng mga ebidensya na mali yung pagkaka-obtain, mali yung pagkakakuha, and then kasama na din yung mga evidence na nakuha as a result ng illegally seized evidence, commonly referred to as the fruit of the poisonous tree, is deemed invalid. Hindi siya pwedeng magamit as evidence. Okay? So, in order to address this particular issue kung sa exclusionary rule, this led to the existence of the inevitable discovery exemption. Yun na nga. In an effort to ameliorate, para mas malesen yung impact ng exclusionary rule, so the court suggested yung inevitable discovery doctrine in the 1984 case of Nix versus Williams. So what is this doctrine? Simply stated, the doctrine allows derivative evidence that would generally be considered inadmissible under the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine be admitted if the evidence would have been discovered anyway. Like for example, in cases wherein andun lang siya, possible hindi naman siya masyado nakakubli. Possible if nag-ano pa talaga, nag-continue yung search is talaga makikita yung yung object. Yan yung purpose ng inevitable. Inevitable is sure to happen. Inevitable discovery exemption. However, to do so, the state must prove through police testimony that the evidence would have been discovered anyway via legal means. Okay? Then lastly, the good faith exemption. What is this good faith exemption? Ang good faith exemption is commonly, like for example, di ba, andyan yung exclusionary rule. Like, the evidence will be rendered null and void if it is considered as fruit of the poisonous tree. Now, what if in the event, invalid pala yung search warrant? Will that mean na magiging invalid din yung evidence? Following the concept of the exclusionary rule, then normally that particular evidence will be considered also null and void. But by virtue of the good faith exception, pwede na siyang makonsider or pwede siyang tanggapin as evidence considering that the police officer who have served the search or rather a defective or an invalid search warrant has acted in good faith. Kasi sa tingin niya, base sa pagkakaintindi niya, is talaga legal yung search warrant. In good faith yung pag-serve niya. Alright? So, kumbaga, it is not the fault of the officer who have acted only in good faith in serving the warrant na maging invalid yung evidence na nakuha niya. So, ito yung remedyo dyan. Yung good faith exception. Alright? So, questions or clarifications?
None, sir.
What about the others?
Wala na, sir.
Ms. Perez, do you wish to ask a question or clarification?
All good, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So, we still have one meeting, no? Before your midterm examination. So, You know the drill already. What will we have next meeting?
Oral recitation, sir.
Very good. That's a good guess. So you will have your oral recitation next meeting. And then, ano ba? By Sunday, so it's up to you whether you will attend or not, but I will be having a sort of refresher lang. Okay? Sort of refresher, questions in order to prepare you for your midterm exams. Do you have the available man siguro? Lahat, no? On Sunday.
Yes, sir.
What about the others? I think si Miss Perez lang ata yung
May training, sir.
training sa what?
Army, sir. Airsoft sa Dua.
Dua? Airsoft?
Sir, na, sir, sa Airsoft.
School related?
May dili, sir, ka na LGU related.
LGU related?
Yes,
Sir, mabilis mo sir, kaya mag-training mo siya sir, taga Sunday sir.
Sige lang, okay lang. Basta yung iba na pwede makapag-attend, mag-attend sila. Because that is to prepare you naman. If you have prior engagements, then hindi ako mag-i-impose sa inyo. Pero if you are free on Sunday, then mag-attend kayo. Para at least, ang point ko lang naman is preparation for your midterm examinations. But
What
if you
time,
are
sir?
unavailable, what time? After lunch na lang siguro. 1 to 3 tayo.
Ay, okay na, sir.
1 to 3. Any other concerns?
With regards sa oral, sir, ba?
Yes, Miss Perez.
With regards sa oral recitation, do we have to cover arrest and search warrant only, sir, for the
Yes.
midterm?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Any other concern?
Kuan sir, blindfold Japon sir.
Ha?
Unsa yung strategy ni mo inig oral exam sir, mag blindfold Japon?
Yes. Kaya wala man tayo laing mechanism aron ma-ensure nga walay nag-cheat.
Okay sir, thank you.
Any other concern? All right,
None
so
so far, sir.
all right, there so
None, sir.
there, yeah. Kindly open your cameras. Alas 7:07 na.
Kami.
Mr. Dilhero, tulog ka pa ata.
Sir, di ba open akong cam sir? Guba. Guba sir, sira sir.
Basin kuyog mo ni Kwan ha. Alright, kindly give me your best smile. Mag-open din ako. Aron dili mo makaingon nga unfair si sir. Alright. So, kindly give me your best smiles in 3, 2, 1. Alright. So again, thank you. So hopefully you have gained another learning from this session. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.